right, guys, before we get into the video, I just want to talk briefly about my offerings over on MetaFi. I have recently updated my top 4 legacy decks, guides, tricks, plans against the field, even 2 of them coming straight off challenge wins when it comes to Bant, Nadu, and Dimir Tempo. I also have these amazing guest primers from the best pilots in the business on their respective favorite decks. So if that sounds like anything for you, you can get all of that at the same place by becoming a Booksmart Baron over on my MetaFi. With that being said, thanks so much for watching, and yeah, let's get into some games. All right, let's play some Legacy. I have tuned my Reanimator deck a tiny bit after Eternal Weekend North America. I have added a 3rd consigned memory to my sideboard because of Mystic Forge's share in the winners metagame. And then I have swapped my Dismember to a Fatal Push because of red tempo momentum. Against that deck, life loss is going to be a little bit iffy. So that's the reason for that change. I wish I could fit a 4th Wasteland. I think that would be pretty good right now with Urza Saga, Breakfast, Ambitious Mana Basis, essentially all over the shop. But maybe that's going to be for a future version. I'm still big on Force Negation in my flex slots. Force Negation answers Chalice of the Void. Force Negation is good against Mystic Forge. Force Negation even fights over your Entomb on the opponent's end step, so there's a little bit of timing issue there where you can play smart. I love 5 Reanimates. I think hedging a tiny bit that your plan A is not going to be available for the majority of your games is the best explanation for why I like 5 Animates. Still, obviously, the 2 Fatties, 3 Murktide Regents as the plan B, couple of Brazens for Leyline coverage, blue count, sometimes just getting in there for 3. Plan B is not as thick as other players choose. I do love Baragoyf against red tempo, against Chalice decks, stuff like that. And I like a couple of Voidwalkers split with Macabre against Graveyard. Voidwalker being a cool Delver of Secrets / Leyline of the Void card. But yeah, that's enough talking. Let's see if we can smoke some opposition. All right, match 1 here with Dimir Reanimator. This hand is fine. I think it's important to understand with Reanimator that sometimes your hand doesn't do anything by itself, but it has big potential. And this hand's potential is finding an Entomb before my life total is too low. I think Tamiyo and Force of Will gives me a decent chance of getting there. Ooh, Tundra. Okay, so most likely deck we're up against is going to be Breakfast. And then, of course, we have a bunch of other decks in that space. But we're up against a Source of Pleasure deck. That's also decent for, these Tamiyo's ability to prolong the game. Let's see, Brainstorm, an amazing draw. I will go Tamiyo. Not fight over it. My opponent kills it, it's fine. I'll try again next turn. Note that I have 0 removable spells in my deck, so I need to combo a lot game 1. Basic Plains. That is a weird one. Basic Plains Tamiyo. How good am I against the opponent's Tamiyo? What if I make a plan that goes Force of Will, pitch Tamiyo? I guess I can never flip it if I reanimate my opponent's Tamiyo. What happens if we both have a Tamiyo? Okay, I guess let's find out. Okay, that card is very, very solid. I could turn this game into a Tamiyo fest. If I play Tamiyo and I flip it with Brainstorm, I feel like I'm still on the hunt for Entomb Reanimate. So am I just supposed to look for that first? Or can I just do that next turn? I think this is going to be fine. Let me fetch an Underground Sea and flip this Tamiyo. In a perfect world, this Brainstorm gets forced. Let's see if we live in a perfect world. We don't. We certainly don't. So this island is my worst card. This Reanimate, I guess I don't want my opponent to know about, but I don't think they have a way to know about it. All right. Plus the Tamiyo and pass, and I could be in a world of hurt here. I have to execute my combo before the opponent does. Also, I don't know if Murktide Regent should be part of my plan here, or simply just my force fodder. I have a bad card on top, so even though I would like to wasteland my opponent, oh wow, yeah, now things change. Because if when the opponent misses a land drop here, I'm supposed to wasteland my opponent. Wasteland, change my phase. Is that how I play? My opponent misses a land drop and they have to crack a clue here. So why didn't they crack a clue on their turn to find a land? They're scared of days. Okay. That's good to know about. Oh wow, they're not even that deck. That's funny. I was so sure my opponent was breakfast. Let's see. Philia. This card is very good against Murktide Regent. And I guess Tamiyo. Well, let's try and force it and see what happens. That works. Now, what happens if I should probably just keep plussing here. Did I reanimate Tamiyo? Sorry, Philia. I think that's decent. I'm trying to keep my opponent busy here. I know my top card is Island. Okay, so I'm kind of in Tamiyo or bust mode. Yeah, Tamiyo -7 or bust mode here. I'm banking on my opponent's ability to either draw lands and advance the game, or draw, I guess, prismatic ending. Gonna be somewhat low. Okay, so the opponent now has one turn to do that. Let me cast this brainstorm and see if I get lucky. I draw Entomb here. Okay, I don't, so never mind. So what I can do here is fetch Surveil, see if I get lucky. Let's see if we get super lucky here. Not super lucky. Clear that card. So now I can kill my opponent's blue. And my opponent has one card to come up with something that deals with Tamiyo, or I'm going to draw. If they manage to ending the Tamiyo, I'm in big trouble. But, you know, they don't do that very often with the number I'm expecting them to play of that card. All right, Blue-Eyed Control. Blue-Eyed Control is going to be, I think it's going to be rough. Because for those creatures, I guess that makes it slightly easier to sideboard. So let's see. I love pushes in a Bitter Triumph against Tamiyos and dogs. Am I supposed to move off of my combo here entirely? I don't think so. I think Force Negation is quite bad. I think Daze is something I can live without. And now it's up to these Borrowers. Borrower seems not great. Maybe get rid of that card for Baragoyfs. I could also see getting rid of Animate Dead for Voidwalker. Maybe get rid of a Wasteland for another Voidwalker. That would be cool. Get a little plan B going here against an opponent that I expect to be fetching a lot of basics. Sometimes there's a conflict here between trying Wastelands and bringing in Baragoyf. But I think it's fine in a matchup that doesn't hurt my mana. All right. I hope you're having a great day. I sure am. I get to press record, play Legacy, talk some nonsense into the microphone. What's not to like? Yeah, this plane looks solid. The thing is, I'm playing against a plow deck, so my my Murktides and Baraglyphs are not necessarily long for this world. But I think between Tameo, Voidwalker, Thought Seizing ahead of time, I think I can do some damage here. The opponent is probably wondering if I'm gonna fully pivot or keep my combo, and that's generally a big reason why Reanimator is such a strong deck, that you're kind of left guessing. Sometimes you find yourself with, I don't know, 3 surgical extractions in your deck, and your opponent is just playing, Voidwalker, Baraglyph, Murktide Regent. I think exactly the fact that this deck has such a good plan B, that's why it's such a strong deck. Let's say Tameo was not legal. This deck would be a little bit sketchy. You would have to find a similar. So let's say Tameo is Psychic Frog Light. You would have to find a Tameo Light card and see if you could continue the show here. All right, we're almost there for game 2. Let's see if we can keep it up. We got a little bit lucky there with the opponent bricking on land. And then, I'd smell blood in the water, and I have the tools to punish. This looks like the opponent did not submit in time. The clock runs out here. So I'll expect to play against my opponent's game 1 configuration. All right, this hand is cool. Some Thought Seizes to clear the way. Worth noting is I'm bad against turn 1 Tameo. My opponent does not have turn 1 Tameo. That's incredible for me. Wasteland. Could be good, could be terrible. Let's see. At least it casts Baraglyph. Brainstorm is up. Bell Pierce is up. The opponent doesn't like to get wasted. Minor Misstep. Oof. Love that card. I guess I should take a little credit for bringing that card to the map in a world of Thought Seize and Tomb, Reanimate, Delvers, Chandlers, etc. I think that card is super solid. Land drop Ponder. All right, all right. Still trying to dodge Tameo. I guess my plan is somewhat simple. On my turn, I'll Thought Seize before making a land drop. My opponent wants to fetch a duel to, what do I know, Misstep, Pierce, you name it, Brainstorm. Then they don't have that info yet. Tameo, great draw. So that's going to be my follow-up if Wasteland does not connect here. All right, so Caracas, incredibly annoying. Let's see. Yeah, I should just take the Felia here. I will now play Tameo as a Rishadan Port on the opponent's Caracas. I've even seen people miss this when I did Eternal Weekend coverage. A bunch of people missed this or didn't play super well against this dynamic. Yes, sir, you got it. Tameo's back to hand. I will now slam a Baraglyph. My opponent has drawn 1 card in the meantime. That could easily be a Swords to Plowshares. Okay, Brainstorm in response. That's very strong when you have some excess lands in hand. Also, now the opponent sees that card, they might go off Barry Macabre. Surveil. Okay, got it. So, cool news is, when I've played this Baraglyph, I don't really need 3 mana anymore in this game, and I can freely wasteland my opponent's Caracas, making Tameo into a card. So what's a realistic turn from the opponent here? Something like kill the Baraglyph, deploy their own Tameo. I wasteland, I push the Tameo, I deploy my own, and I have Murktide the turn after. Yeah, I think we have some good plans here. Ooh, Tameo into the graveyard. Oh, interesting. So now I don't know anything about these cards anymore, so I'll just expect the fairy still there, essentially. Is this Baraglyph connecting? Entomb. Not very good against the fairy. Looks like the opponent bricked on an answer. Yeah, this is not going to be good for the opponent if this works. Pick 4, mill over Archon. I don't think I'm supposed to put Archon into hand. Let me kill Caracas. I should actually have done that on the attack step. That's just a good habit. Here's Tamiyo. And I will pass. So let's see. Is this the opponent having Supreme Verdict? That would be incredibly annoying. I can't remember if there's Supreme Verdict in this deck. It seems a little bit weird with the Failure in the deck. Is this a game where my opponent just has a couple of graveyard hate spells and nothing matters? Because my draw was so good at circumventing that. That could very well be the case. Triggering the Barrow Boy. Now I have Atraxa and Archon in the graveyard, but neither of those will make it, right? Because of the fairy. Let's see what Magic Online is going to do here. Okay, so should I deploy Murktide Regent? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I probably should. But let's see. How does my opponent win this game? It probably has to do with either sweeping me or end step failure into stuff. So I think because of that, I'm actually going to slow roll my Fatal Push here. Here's Entomb. That card is not good. So let's pass and get ready to kill the failure. I think I'm going to do it on my opponent's upkeep if they have it. They don't have it. Okay. So now I'm just, getting ready to either kill a Tamiyo or crack a clue. Weird game. Looks like the opponent had an atrocious brainstorm. Force of Will, very, very good. I guess let's just attack. So I think I'll respond to the Baraglyph trigger. Cast Brainstorm, flip the Tamiyo, put probably just a Voidwalker back to ensure the card advantage from the Baraglyph. If this is Hardcast Force, it doesn't really do anything. I'm totally fine with that. Hardcast Force on the Brainstorm. Oh, goody. Let me trigger the Baraglyph. Get lucky with another hit here. So now what? If I get swept, I don't think it's that bad. So I should just play a creature here. Let me play Audi Voidwalker. Pass. Okay. Yeah, that was... The opponent didn't get the best draws, but we also got to showcase that Uncontested Tamiyo wins the game. Faramacop sitting in the opponent's hand doing nothing. If you have just a suitable plan B here. So, yeah, pretty bread and butter here. First match, let's keep it up. All right, match 2, Dimir Reanimator. I have a hand with land, Tamiyo, and a Daze, and after that, these could be for Pokemon cards for all that I care. That is a keep against all decks. With a hand like this, I will fight over the Tamiyo. Sometimes you don't. Let's see if we can get some good Dazes in here. We're also in a great spot where if the opponent misses a beat, we start cracking clues, Daze becomes better, all of that jazz. Underground Sea, Petal. Potentially dangerous. So, combo Heavy List, Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize resolves, and depending on what happens here, I could be in a spot where I should prioritize Wastelanding. It's a little bit hard, I will say. Try and get over the hump. With, like, my own mana base. If I draw land, that makes that decision a lot more easy. If I don't draw land, I probably have to crack the first clue before I start wasting, but that's a tough one. Doomsday is something that's on my radar right now. Could be traditional storm decks. Could be Reanimator with a little bit of a twist. By the way, this art is actually insane. Is that a fairy with a puzzle piece? Because you're seizing? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I also love the original one, obviously. Let's see what's going on here. Draw. I draw land. Okay, so now it's time to wasteland the opponent because I have my next land to start cracking clues. If I wasteland, my days is going to be better. Also, I'm passing with mana up, which is amazing against opposing days. So lots of good stuff here. I hope to get into a spot where the draw go favors me because I have an engine. The opponent knows about... Okay, well, this is problematic, so I'll let that happen. Oof. Oh, shoot. Okay. I'm getting Entomb Reanimated here. Yeah, that's game over. That is certainly game over. Here's Archon. Yeah, I see too many players fetch Archon these days. If the opponent fetches Atraxa here, it's game over. Obviously, it could be in the opponent's hand. So this card is actually beatable because I could draw Brace and Borrower now, restart the game, and win, where Atraxa would just refill my opponent. This Tamio doesn't do anything against against Atraxa. That did not happen. So we lose. Okay, okay. Okay, the opponent's playing a little bit of a spicy one. I think with that in mind, I should heavily consider what to do and what not to do here. Am I on the full plan B? Let's see. Is that even possible for my list? These cards are fine. We can have some Tamio removal in there. That's also fine. And I'm going to bring out all the combo stuff here. Is single Reanimate if possible, but let's see. It looks like 10 for 10. That's not bad. So I'm aware this could be Doomsday. I think it can. Let's see how we fare against that. That's a cool one. The Petal and Dark Ritual version of Reanimator. Let's play first. Okay, this hand is fine. We can we have Force of Will. We can build for a Murktide. Let's understand if this is a time to go basics. I think I'll be fine on duels. Let's cast Ponder. Here's a turn 2 Voidwalker. Not bad. This Murktide is not going to be good. Let's hide the Voidwalker from Thoughtseize. Here's a Petal. Let's see if the opponent has anything nasty. Thoughtseize resolves. The opponent's going to take Force of Will. And then I'm going to slam Voidwalker and hope that my opponent doesn't have, Entomb a response, essentially. Oh, wow. Opponent takes Brainstorm. Okay. I like that. Let's try and slam a Voidwalker. Brace and Borrower, currently my force pitch. Murktide Region coming next turn. So the opponent could have taken Force of Will, but they didn't. Is that because they have it all here? I have to counter this one. If they have Force Blue card, I like their choice a lot. Because they know they're going to win this exchange. And Brainstorm would have given me a lot of cards to look for, you know, Fairy, Thoughtseize, stuff like that. The opponent just might have had the nuts here and played very well. Okay. That didn't happen. So they... Now I'm a little bit puzzled about their Thoughtseize choice. And now they have to be even careful what they put in the void. Okay. A land is not dangerous. Now I have an online Voidwalker. Okay. Voidwalker down. 3 cards left over there. I don't think I'm playing around days, so let's see. Let's sewers. See if I can make a slightly bigger Murktide region. Do I want to draw Thoughtseize next turn? Probably not, since my opponent will play their good stuff if they have it. So I'll try and play a 7/7. Actually, leaving Voidwalker in the graveyard might be bad. Okay, here's Force blue card. So that okay. So the push explains no Force will onto the Voidwalker. And now we're in a super low resource game. That is a good card to draw in a low resource game. Let's see if we can do the same. We can clear a land, so that, you know, better than drawing the land. And now we're in big trouble because of the Tamiyo. I actually don't like leaving my Voidwalker in the graveyard. That was a bad play. Not necessarily bad, but I think it benefits my opponent more. I think my way to win this game is the opponent draws some useless reanimation stuff. Let's see what this is. If this is just cracking a clue. Ooh, their own Voidwalker. Okay. Yeah, I think it's too late now to do anything this game. The opponent was the superior combo player. That's a sweet deck. So you have Petals and Dark Rituals. I guess you cut some, you know, normal magic cards, so you get more explosiveness, but you still have the ability to play the same game plan. This is almost an impossible game to win. I can't really, you know, come up with how to win it, but I'm going to give it a turn or two. Okay, this is cool. Dark Ritual to crack 2 clues. I love that. Should I have forced that? Maybe. Yeah, I probably should have forced that. And then what? Draw like Baragoyf or whatever? Yeah, I should have done that. Okay. Mistakes were made. Yeah. And now... Yeah, so that was an amazing draw, but the problem is the opponent has a flip Tamiyo, and if they can get Revolt, they can push the Baragoyf. So I didn't give myself the best chance to win this game. I actually think I'm in a somewhat playable spot. I'm in a playable spot if I play well. I guess I was too busy talking about how I lost. Okay, the opponent doesn't have Revolt. Well, they didn't want to have Revolt. Okay. So now the opponent's going to chump block here. And then they could just kill it next turn, get the Tamiyo to 8. Yeah, I think the opponent found the line here. Flipping Tamiyo and protecting it, that's really cool. Holding up Voidwalker. Interesting. Let me... Ooh. Wait a minute. The opponent's holding up Voidwalker, because if I find removal for Tamiyo, they have removal here. Brutal. Let's see, if I brainstorm, I can't get there because I played out my land, but I needed to because of Hardcast Force. So I needed to find like blue card push here. Yeah. Okay. Well played by the opponent. I'll try and attack the Tamer for 4. The opponent will block with their Tamiyo. I will hold up Force And then look for removal next turn if I need to. Let's see. No fatal push end of turn. There's some kind of a chance here, but darn, I wish I forced that ritual. Then this game would have been a lot different. But that's how we. That's why I play Magic in general. That's why I make this content. I make this content to get better, and hopefully, you guys will think about more stuff as well. So here's the push return, and all of a sudden, Dark Ritual. Sure, I can't try and deal with that card. So how is my opponent gonna get Revolt here? Wait a minute. Do I have anything in the void? I don't think so. The opponent is trying to get Revolt this way. Okay. Voidwalker is back. Here's Fatal Push. The opponent has 2 mana in the pool. Why do they have 2 mana in the pool? Could they have done this without the ritual reanimate stuff? Boom. Okay. So are they playing around days here, or do they have another play? If I hardcast Force here, I'm getting dazed. Is that acceptable? Do I need this Brainstorm? Or after the dust settles? Is this just another Voidwalker? Okay, this is very tough. The opponent had to get creative with Revolt here. This could also be the opponent having Petty Theft, actually. Let's see. Brainstorm response. They need to pull up either Daze or Force Blue card. Or they're going to lose to Tameo, and we still have a game here. One black floating. That is enough for another push since Revolt is on. Pretty cool game, actually. I wish I countered that ritual, though, but this turned into a great game. 1 mana floating. Land. Ponder, try and find that push. Found the bounce. Nice. All right. All right. Force of Will, not bad. I mean, I have game here. I think there's a Force in the Void, though. That's kind of the problem. But I could reset the game here if my opponent decides to go Tameo -3, push, we exchange Force versus Voidwalker, and there's a game. Okay. That's not what the opponent's going for. Will we see an attack here, or will the opponent hold up Force? They're holding up Force of Will. Interesting. Is this another bounce? I think I have to let this happen. Draw. Oh, wow. Crazy draw. Let's go. Kill the Voidwalker. Does that even work? Sacrifice? I don't think it works. Yeah, it didn't work like I wanted it to. You may play this turn. Okay, so great learning here. A good player still has a push in hand. I play Baragoyf, we exchange. But I did this. And that's terrible. Okay, so educational stuff here. This says until end of turn. Force the Force. Land the Baragoyf. And now I have to hope my opponent bricks. Even fetch land crushes me. So I'm in deep trouble here. Ritual. Yep, fetch land crushes me. Okay. I stuck around for a long time here, but I think this is going to be the end. I need to draw, you know, a banger creature ASAP. Yeah, that was really bad about the Fatal Push. Because then at least I get to kill that creature, untap, and be under less pressure. Yeah, I don't know why I thought Voidwalker you kind of had to cast the card right away. I guess whenever I used Voidwalker, I always cast the card right away. So I thought it was like cascading or something where you choose the card right away. So this Brazen, yeah, I could have killed. Well played by the opponent. I see way too many players slow roll this one as well. I draw Fatal Push. Okay, well, let's see if we can continue this game a little bit longer. Draw. Revolt is on. He'll pass. So now the opponent can -3 on the push, kill Tameo. This is why it's awesome for me to press record when we get games like this, where tons of small stuff. I missed some things. I might have even missed more than what I already talked about. And hopefully there's going to be some spots that you can avoid in the future. Bring back Reanimate. Okay, so now the opponent's going to, you know, reanimate Barrogoyf. Okay, the opponent's just going to send me packing here. Let's see if they can find the best one this time. They still go for Archon. Okay. Good games, well played. The opponent did it to me. Very, very nice deck. And yeah, the opponent played super well. I had some slip-ups. So yeah, result is what it should be like. Let's play one more. All right, last match of the video. Let's see what we're working with here. Thoughtseize plus Force of Will. Okay, okay. This is not perfect. Let me put it that way. I think it's okay. I think it's slightly better than going to 6. Up against Burrow's Initiative. So it looks like if I take the Chalice, my opponent has no turn 1 play, and then I get to Force a Will, something that my opponent spends a lot of resources on. Downside being if they find a Cavern in the meantime. Burrow's Initiative is a deck that turns on my Reanimates on their side of the table, which is decent. Plateau, pass. So why didn't they go Plains? Are they trying to get Wastelanded here? So now I can put a Trax into my graveyard. I should probably do that. Let's cast Brainstorm. Put back my worst land and Atraxa. Play Surveil land. Trax into the bin. And now the opponent is a little bit of a hurry. Cavern crushes me. I think that's a decent way to play. Plains. I think my opponent's going to get their Magus forced now. I will pitch Ponder. Brainstorm digs a little deeper, and I have some bad cards, so the Brainstorm's going to see 3 new ones before I have to fetch. And those new ones were bad. Okay, so put back land, play Tameo, get ready to fetch basic swamp in case I get Magist again. And probably fetch Surveil end of turn if I don't. So this is currently a race between me finding Reanimator and my opponent finding... Okay, this is a good play. I was about to say the opponent finding 4 mana for their stuff, but yeah, I'll take this any day of the week, right? A 1 mana play that eats 2 cards out of the opponent. That's great. Let's see if the opponent's found some good ones in the meantime. Land. Is that another one? It's Archon. Okay. So I think this is the time to go Surveil Land to look deeper. Daze is good against a lot of things, but I think it's better for me to dig for my stuff. Pretty close though. Okay, I guess I'll play around Fable of the Mirror Chalice by passing here. Hold up Hardcast Negation. If I fail, I can Brainstorm End Step, Shuffle on Upkeep, which is a little bit funny. Archon getting in there. Let's see what this is. Hopefully it's Fable. Okay, so our play... Make us look like geniuses here. I think I'm supposed to Brainstorm now. Then I know what to do. And I might even find something like Brazen Borrower for my opponent's turn. Animate Dead is incredible. Thoughtseize never going to do anything. So let's put back those 2 cards. Let's play a tapped land. So now even if I get Magist, I can fetch a Swamp in response, which is incredible. So I like my spot a lot now. Land Initiative creature could make things iffy. Five mana, so the opponent can now cast Initiative creature, and it's even the good one. Okay, cool. So let's see. This is probably all right, but I haven't done any math here. Let's see. This is very convenient for me that is Animate Dead. I even played it, like, if the opponent drew Chalice, I would even beat that card. Okay, 12 life, 11 here. Let me do the math whether this is a good fetch or not. My opponent's gonna grow the Dungeoneer to 5. Then they're gonna attack me. Grow the Dungeoneer to a 5, attack me to right now 7, would be 6. If they then rip I'm trying to stabilize against trap, that's the thing. Maybe I should just untap cast Animate Dead, move along. I'll try and save the life here. I don't know. Could be good. So obviously my draw there was bad, and so is the next draw off of like 10% of the Atraxa is going to be a Thoughtseize. I think that's all right. Let's see if this works. I'm just trying to save life here to not die. And these can fetch not untap basics, so I think that's good. Brazen Borrower is good, because that does save me some damage. Wasteland playable, Ponder or Reanimate. Maybe Ponder. This was a bad Atraxa, but could be good enough. Play Wasteland. Yeah, this is a tough one. No force. So if my opponent surveils here, yeah, that's when I can be in trouble. If they find something like Solitude. Then I'm probably losing. What happens if I bounce the Dungeoneer? I save a little bit of damage on combat, but then they just play it again and advance the initiative. I guess that plays decent if my opponent scries 2 to the bottom. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So the opponent has a basic land in hand, right? Found a plains. They're trying to get over the hump here against my Animate Dead Atraxa. Scry 2. So this is desperation. I could see myself bouncing Archon, so I get in with the initiative. I don't even know what that does. Is that good? Tough to say. Tough to say. Another banger of a game here. If my opponent just runs me over, that's no fun. If I find the Reanimator early, that's no fun. This is fun. The long games with tons of small decisions. Things to consider. 1 to the bottom. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. What am I going to do if the opponent attacks? Okay, they play land. So this is me getting solituded and the game is over. Let's see. Wasteland onto the plateau. But the opponent will get a stash next time, so not even bouncing a Dungeoneer can buy time here. Okay, this is 4th Yalingas. So cool. Ah, that's so cool. 4th Yalingas. 4 horses. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm not even sure this is good, but I'll let my opponent be the boss of that. So I will bounce this Seasoned Dungeoneer now. In response to this trigger. I have to fetch a basic here. Basic island for the time being is more important. So let's bounce that card. Let's... Yes, you're good. Block over here. And that's an even attack. Now the opponent becomes the monarch. Didn't think about that. I think now the opponent has to chump block with Archon, which I like. Draw. Wasteland. Probably a terrible draw. All right. Let's attack with Archon. Oh, sorry, Atraxa. Trying to get initiative and the monarchy. Okay. So now at least I can play what I want. Let's start things off with a ponder. There's a force of will. Card cast force of will is not bad. Then draw the ponder, I guess. The opponent will get a stash. Wasteland. Develop another wasteland, I guess, to save a little bit of damage. Pass a turn, look like somebody who's ready to cast Brazen end of turn. Now I have to dodge Cavern of Souls. Life total-wise, I'm doing well. The opponent is edging ever closer to Throne of the Dead 3, which has a very high chance of finding a Solitude. Here's Ancient Tomb. The opponent has Initiative Creature and 1 unknown card. I will Force a Will, card cast, fetch Swamp. Force a will. The opponent can't attack. And I will become the monarch and take the initiative. Pretty good. Don't solitude me, bro. And the opponent's seen enough here. I actually think they have a chance here because they can attack here. Sure, life total wise, they're doing poorly, but they will actually get through at advance, you know, to get the 4-1 and get the throne here. Brazen Borrower doesn't block on the ground, so I actually don't think that game was over. Okay, I'm playing against Initiative, so that card is good. Chalice removal spells. Let's see, I have a ton of cards here. Do I just bring out my combo and lean on the opponent's creatures? I don't mind that. Daze is probably terrible. 10 cards, and I have 11 cards over here that I like. So I have to cut one more. Trying to go fair against Initiative. I think that's reasonable. It hedges a little bit against Chalice. They can have all the fairies in hand they want. Maybe like this. Double consign should be okay. Okay, let's try that. Thoughtseize on the draw is a little bit sketchy, though. What happens if I have these cards in my deck instead of... Okay, too late. Let's see what... Okay, I ended up with the quad Thoughtseize. Yeah, I thought about that too late. I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Could be good. Let's see. Okay, this hand is bad against, like... Maybe this is actually scary. So this hand is bad against turn 1 Chalice. This hand is bad against turn 1 4-drop. Maybe I'm not allowed to keep a hand that's bad against both of those. Maybe I need to have one of those handled. This hand has Magus somewhat handled. I actually deserve to get Chalice here. I don't think it's going to happen, though, with the way the opponent plays this out. I think this is going to be a Fable. Or I guess... Wait a minute. Oh, the opponent has Pyroblast. That's the last card, or what are we talking about here? Okay. Well, turn 1 Chalice. Why did the opponent play this? Oh my god, that's probably an insane draw. Why did the opponent Chrome Mox us here? Is that a Pyroblast? Also, I should probably start playing stuff into the Chalice here. Let's do Creature. Let's do Sorcery. Build in the graveyard for Baragoyf. Solid. I think it's time for the opponent to play the 4-drop now, or they could be in trouble. Okay, they have the 4-drop. So that's super scary. Probably a card that beats us. I need now Brazen, Bitter Triumph, Explosives, I guess. No Force Will yet. Still think my opponent's last card is Pyroblast with the way they played. Another bad card. Here's Baragoyf. And now the opponent can choose... They should probably go Lost Well and try and find the next threat, but they don't. They want to race the Baragoyf. Love it. Okay. I don't think I can block because all of my hand is toast to Chalice. That card will keep the cards flowing. So nice little mulligan to whatever from the opponent here. Showcase the power of the deck. Love it. Let me try and think about game 3 here for a second. Another one. Eesh. Fatal Push looking real bad here. Chalice is the game decider, right? If I can, you know, kill stuff and reanimate them and steal the initiative, all of that jazz, I'm in solid shape, but no such luck. So I guess my absolute best draw is Engineered Explosives, which lets me pop Chalice, Chrome, give me Revolt, and unlock Fatal Push. I'm now at 8. Maybe I have to draw Explosives here or it's game over. Engineered Explosives. All right, not going to do it. Let's try harder for game 3. Now Days seems a little bit better, to say the least. Do I like all these cards? I actually think Thoughtseize is a little bit sketchy because it's only good in my opener. At least Days pitches. Enemy Dead could be all right. Maybe Consign is just better with initiative, etc. All right, let's try this. Trying to play fair against Boris Initiative. This time I'm on the play. I will think a little bit more carefully about my opener. I think this is fine. I will fetch Basic Island turn 1. I don't love it, but I think it's the way to go against a Magus of the Moon deck. Also, I'll note that this negation is almost only going to be good against exactly Chalice of the Void, or Fable, I guess. The point is, it's not a, you know, it's not a Force of Will. That's the point. I think this is a playable Hetch. Turn 1 Tameo. If I can weather the storm with that negation, I think I have a shot. Basic Plains. This looks like... Okay, Swords to Plowshares. I think this is where I say no. I'm going to pitch the Ponder and believe in the Murktide. Reanimate. I'll play a land. I'll pass. I'm getting the clues going a little bit here. Let's see what my opponent's follow-up is. They will keep a lot of hands here. Is this a Chalice? No. Magus of the Moon. So I should track this clue to see if I have a Force of Will on top of my deck. That is a Force of Will on top of my deck. All right. Let's stop that from happening. Murktide gone. I'll crack a clue on my own turn here. I could find, I guess, a Ponder. That's more or less it. Wasteland. That is another card I can find. Let's do that. Plays very well with the Days. Right now, the dream is I buy time. Ooh, that's dead. Okay. The plan is to hopefully Daze an initiative creature at some point and win with a Reanimate. Yeah, my Reanimates are on, but I'm not interested in a Magus of the Moon. I feel like that would hurt me a lot. All right, we're in a very high variance spot where Caravan of Souls absolutely crushes me. Please go Spirit Guide. Oh, it's Archon. Archon is actually a tough one. I'm going to let this resolve because I think my way to win this game has to do with reanimating an initiative creature. Tune back next week to see if I succeeded. Okay. things are getting iffy here. If I daze that card, I mean, I draw new daze. So that's the that's the comedy of it all. My plan is my opponent finds non-soul land, non-cavern mana source, and I daze an initiative creature, and I get it back. Please, opponent. Exile the Spirit Guide. You can do it. Ah, this is tough. Chalice of the Void. I can't double daze it. Okay. That's probably the game. That is probably the game, because now my whole plan is out the window. Now they don't attack because of Brazen. Okay. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is... So the lesson is that sometimes you can play smart and you still lose. This was supposed to happen a turn ago, and I would be golden, but not this time. Where's the Animate Dead? Is it in the sideboard? The Animate Dead is in the sideboard, so I need Brazen Borrower. Bitter Triumph. Okay, Bitter Triumph works. Let me, I guess, pass. I'll discard a Reanimate here. The Dream is alive. What I could have done there was to take the damage, but I think this is better, because I'll daze the Fable if they draw it. No Fable. Aragorn. Wait a minute. Bounce. Reanimate. The Dream is on. Go to 12. Fetch Swamp. Play Swamp. Pass. Oh, wow. That's really cool. Cavern Initiative creature would be insane for the opponent. Aside from that, I think they're in trouble. I'll negate the Chalice. I will scry here to keep up the pressure. Cameo plus Brazen should be a solid turn. Attack, get the bonus. Brazen Borrower. I would actually love to draw that card. I think that's pretty flexible right now. Cameo. S. End step Borrower. Fable. You got it. A little bit late for that card. Slam Brazen. Really keep up the pressure. Get a stash. Get in there with everyone. We want to draw days. Nope. I have to think a little bit about fourth Elingus, but I think I'm doing great. Guess I'll upkeep bounce that card. Let's pass. And now my opponent's allowed to draw Pyroblast. Just a little bit of timing here. Opponent's facing evasive lethal and then some here. They need Solitude. And they're still going to take 6, and I'm going to draw a bunch of cards. So, yeah, we got there in the end. This was a little bit rocky. This game was actually pretty cool that I had that plan lined up with the initiative creature, and I actually thought it was too late, but then it still came to fruition. I drew a timely petty theft and unlocked my plan, my evil plan of killing my opponent with their own decent Dungeoneer. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like this deck, go grab the guide. I've been putting a ton of work into, you know, analyzing Eternal Weekend and getting people ready for the showcase. So check that out if you're in the market for that. And if not, not a problem. I hope to see you back on the channel soon for some more sweet, sweet Legacy action. Thanks so much for watching.